Well, good morning. Welcome to another edition of Take 5. It is Saturday, June 4th, 2011. And we are in Matthew chapter 23. And this is a difficult chapter. It's the most difficult chapter I've had to teach because it's negative. Today is extremely negative toward my leaders. And I do not want to teach this, but I got it. Guys, I love you. And you do a lot of things well, but we're going to let the Word of God talk to you today. We're in Matthew chapter 23. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you tithe mint and dill and cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice and mercy and faithfulness. These you ought to have done without neglecting the others, you blind guides, straining out a gnat and swallowing a camel. Now Jesus here first actually commends the Pharisees, the scribes. He calls them hypocrites, but he does give them credit for being generous. He says, you tithe everything you got. You give 10%. And looking at the leaders of my congregation, very generous. Very generous. I think he would say the same thing. There's a but, though. You've neglected the weightier matters of the law. The most important things. What are the weightier matters? Justice. Number one. There is not justice at my church. There is lopsided decisions. There is a favoritism toward sinners, not toward victims. Everybody knows this. And apparently, you guys don't care because nothing has changed. I've been pointing this out on my Take 5s. I've been teaching on it. And I'm hoping you wake up to see this. We've got divorces happening rampant. People taking each other to court because they can't get justice in the church. Paul said in 1 Corinthians 7, you should appoint weak members. Appoint fools to be judges to settle these things. Why do we have people going to court? Why do we have so many divorces? Because they can't get justice in the church. Now, guys, I don't know if you lack wisdom. I don't know if you lack courage. Don't know if you lack care, if you're apathetic. I don't know. But it's a problem. And on this matter, although you've done great up to this point, on this matter, Jesus would say, you hypocrites. Not me. You read it. Jesus would say that. There's no justice. And mercy. There's mercy shown toward the sinners, not so much toward the victims. And faithfulness. Faithfulness to the Word of God is lacking. Faithfulness to Matthew chapter 18. Jesus telling us how to deal with sinners. We don't obey that. Faithfulness in Matthew chapter 19. Just several chapters ago we read these things. Jesus is very clear on the issue of divorce. And here's what I hear. Well, research shows. We'd rather go with research than Jesus. We're not faithful to the Word of God. You hypocrites. These you ought to have done without neglecting the others. You blind guides, straining out a gnat and swallowing a camel. You know, we kind of pride ourselves on the fact that we're generous. Jesus says when you're that, he says that's straining out the gnat. He says that's tiny. Oh, be generous, be generous, be generous. That's tiny. You ignore my word. You ignore justice. You ignore faithfulness. That's swallowing the camel. Now, guys, we've patched up our relationships. I understand that. And I love you and respect you and would not want to trade places with you. But listen to the Word of God today. Let it break you today. And some of you have real tender hearts, and I've mentioned one by name. I know you do. I know you're convicted right now. Spread the word. All right, everybody else, come back tomorrow for the next edition of Take 5.